to the What the Shuck podcast. The goal of the What the Shuck podcast is to provide a platform to positive and influential people from Kentucky and Appalachia, with the goal of flipping the narrative that this region is seen as us as being problems. And what I'm trying to do through the podcast and through the nonprofit is show that we are innovators and we're problem solvers here. And so through the influence of music, art, craft breweries, essentially anybody that wants to help flip that narrative, we're providing a platform to that. And so that's essentially what we're doing today. We're gonna be trying to raise some money for tornado relief in Western Kentucky. For those of you who don't know, in 2012, my house was blown away by a tornado, and that's why I started my nonprofit. And it was because I saw that there were a lot of people in Kentucky that needed help in a time of crisis. And for a little context, in 2020, I did a show, or I went to a show, and it was like nobody could go, and it just meant a lot because I was invited to go. It was Sunday Best when they did their Christmas special, and I essentially saw that through the platform of and an influence of music that we could really make a huge impact in people's communities. And so I was super inspired by that moment and had always wanted to start a nonprofit, and so that's what led us here today. So I really appreciate everybody that's here, and our next guest is Taylor Watkins, so let's give him a big hand, and also thank you for being here. That was awesome.
What is up, Austin? Thanks for having me, dude.
Dude, so to tell the people a little bit that are listening or here right now, so Watkins and I actually just met like a couple weeks ago. They did an event at Greyline Station, which is kind of what connected us. He's all about building communities and trying to use this similar platform of art and just ideas to just live a better and more like fulfilling life. And so we were talking a little bit about this, and we just made an instant connection. So thanks for coming on, dude. You're extremely talented, you're super thoughtful. So tell us a little bit like where you're from and what were some of your influences that have brought you to this moment?
Yeah, for sure. So I've been playing guitar specifically for ever since I can remember. I grew up in Tennessee, then made my way up to Cincinnati, Ohio around high school, and went to school here at UK. So spent my fair share of time here in Lexington and really just dove into the music scene, and that's where I met a lot of these people we're going to be playing with later tonight. And Lexington treated me so well, so I've made a point to spend as much time as I can coming back here, playing shows and hosting these events. And so the other day, getting to do that event at Greyline was something I was really excited about, especially bringing everybody together, and just was blown away with how successful it turned out.
Yeah, and you had a great lineup that night too, so it was just really cool to see. I saw some people I'd never seen. I had never even honestly listened to your music, and I was completely blown away by your presence that you had, and just the way you performed live, and just the way that people got involved in it. And you weren't just like saying stuff that was like hollow. It wasn't like, oh, I'm gonna go on the road and do something. It was like really thoughtful stuff. And so I was like, all right, I feel like I'm gonna really enjoy this guy. And so we were talking before we came over here, and you were showing me your library, and it was just like, you have some pretty thought-provoking literature on those shelves. So would you say that that's been more of an influence, or like, is there a particular music source that you are getting your influence from? Or?
I would say I definitely think of myself as a fusion artist. I like to take all of my influences and try to mix them together. What I'm trying to do, honestly, with my original music is do something where I'm bringing all of my childhood influences, all the stuff that really seems passionate and has real honesty in the music to me. And that's where I always find the question, like, what genre are you, kind of hard for me to answer, because what we're representing right now as Watkins, we're starting a new genre we'd like to call psychedelic southern. So psychedelic referring to the phrase just mind and consciousness growing. So that can refer back to a lot of the influential artists and authors that I've been getting into. I kind of, from a young age, just knew that I wanted to do something for the community and for others with this music rather than just for myself. And I think I told you the other day, it's for me, it's not about my name or Watkins getting famous or me blowing up and people knowing me as a person. It's really just that the music gets out there, people hear our message, and I think you feel the same way with your podcast and your nonprofit. And so that's really what we're trying to do. And so when we released our second record last November, my drummer and I kind of made a promise to ourselves that we were going to move forward with only doing intentional shows and doing stuff like this where we're able to play music, people are here to listen and have a good time, you're able to drink a beer and hang out with your friends, but also you can learn, educate yourself, and give back to the community. So
yeah, so I just gotta give a shout out real quick before we move on to the next song. We're here at Ethereal Brewing Live, and this place has been extremely influential to me, and the staff here and the people that work here have been so kind to me over the past, I've lived in Lexington 6 years, so I've been coming to Ethereal for 6 years, and it's just the people here are so good, and they're so important, just like what you're talking about. They're trying to make this community, and the craft beer scene in Lexington is so rich, and just as influential as music is to me, people willing to take a chance to open a small business is also influential to me. So these people are pioneers in my book, and that's why I'm pretty humbled that I get to do this, because I've came here for so long, and it's just, it's cool to be able to do it like full circle and hopefully help, provide them some sort of substance that is helpful to everybody. But let's play some more music, man.
Let's do it. So this next one is one of my favorites off of the second record. This one's called Lovely Scares. We've also got a music video online for this one as well. So if you like it, check it out. Reaching out how the whole damn sea and finally see why. She brought the thunder and she shook my trees with a lightning beam eyes. She makes me wonder what it all might mean in between space and time. She pulled me on until my heart grew green and she blew my head inside. In the way you move, there's something that haunts me. These lovely scares, baby, up to remind me. Those times I feel, I know I'm not deserving. These lovely scares, baby, keep me in mind. Escaping in this way, the waves can be inside my mind. I start to wonder till I lose my greatness in my life. Started to thunder in this trip, I wanna make me see all that was inside. She made me woke up all the dreams I spoke of, now I'll never close my eyes. Yeah, see the way you move, there's something that haunts me. These lovely scares, baby, up to remind me. Those times I feel, I know I'm not deserving. These lovely scares, baby, keep me in line. These lovely scares, baby. How will you get them all the time? Pull all these kids down, bring all their feet out. I know you get them all the time, time. It's in the way you move, it's something that haunts me. These lovely scares me up to remind those times I feel I know I'm not deserving. These lovely scares, baby, keep me in line. These lovely scares, baby, keep you on mine. These lovely scares, vision on the highway, hoping to see and finally see why. Thank you guys.
Dude, that was killer. So, once again, we're coming to you all from Ethereal. We have a pretty good lineup set up after this, and I'm really excited about this event. And Watkins, obviously, extremely talented dude, but the reason why I wanted to do a podcast with him is because I could just tell that it would be an engaging conversation that people need to hear, and that it expands consciousness and just makes people want to work with people and to use these communities, kind of like what we've touched on earlier. And so, as you're doing this kind of stuff, I know that you have so Watkins has a van that he uses as his mobile unit, essentially. So this dude is limitlessly capable of going anywhere. So tell us a little bit about what your plans are for the summer, and just like what you all are doing as a band, and your goal for the kind of the year.
Yeah, for sure. So as he said in a euphemistic way, I'm living in a van currently. So I live mobily, and I'm playing music on the road. That's been going on 3 years now. So my partner and I, she's a beekeeper. She is a sculpture artist, and so we do some craft shows. We do some multimedia events together. And really, with us getting into the van, I just wanted to give us more opportunities with playing shows, getting our name out there, really just exposing ourselves. So being able to live mobily allowed us to kind of take some weird jobs, take some seasonal work in some states we never would have had the opportunity to go to. So since we lived in the van, right around COVID is when we built out the inside. So we've got the nice hardwood floors, we've got the cabinets, we built it all ourselves. So it looks nice inside, it looks like a house. So it's not terrible living as most people immediately think. We're completely off the grid. We've got solar panels. We've got, I appreciate you, thank you. We've got solar panels, we've got outlets, we've got lights, fans, AC, all that good stuff. So what we've done, we've gone across the country. We've had some jobs in Idaho, had some jobs up in Maine here recently. And really we came back in Lexington to really just come back to our roots, get into the mindset of really getting ready for this tour we have booked this summer. For those of you guys who did not know me, I've been around Lexington music scene for a while now. Moved down to Nashville, Tennessee, and had spent some time recording down there. We have a studio down in Nashville, Tennessee. My drummer lives down there full time and runs the studio. When we're traveling though, that's when we start really trying to incorporate these community events and these ideas. So what we're doing this summer is we're moving to North Carolina because that's where our biggest demographic is right now. And we're doing more events where it's kind of maybe breweries that are out in the mountains, breweries that tend to involve themselves with the community more often. We'll do a lot of farmers markets. We're working and teaming up with a lot of farms and craft fairs and festivals of those sorts. So what we're doing is really any events moving forward. I've been playing for probably over 6 years now with the full band, doing the tours every summer, going state to state, and playing the late night bars is fun and all. It's a good time, and there's a time and place for those shows. But really, after 6 years of doing that, this summer we kind of told ourselves we really want to be intentional and really choose the spaces we play at. Giving back is really the theme for it. And that's what we've been doing, and what we did with the Gray Line event is I really want to bring together a space of artists and a multimedia collection of different creatives, no matter if they're clothing designer, if they're a photographer, if they like to cook, no matter what genre of music, from punk music to my music, I want to give them a space and allow everyone to feel comfortable, bring everybody in, and maybe it's a night for the kids who didn't know they were artists or the kids who felt uncomfortable to be an artist. It's like, we want to bring you into this comfortable space, allowing you to be vulnerable enough to feel one with it all. And so that's not only what we've been doing with the music, that's what I've been trying to do and persuade with the message, but now with the events that we choose to throw, I want to be hitting the nail on the head every time when I show my face and play my music. I want to be giving back. I want to be educating people, and I want to let people know how to be involved within the community, whether if it's Lexington now, if it's Nashville tomorrow, and if it's North Carolina the next day. So.
Well, I can tell you how you can be involved right now. So we're doing a tornado raffle, and all the money that we get from that is going to go towards Western Kentucky tornado relief. And so we have a $100 gift card from Chaw Chaw's and Rooster's Nest. We have a package from here. It's going to be like a growler fill. It's got a hat. It's got some sunglasses. It's got a glass, an ethereal glass. We have a cabana experience at Harvey's, and then we also have a 10 class pass to Reach, and then we also have a charcuterie from Fable Lexington. And then on top of that, we also have an online raffle that's going on musicalmoonshine.com that's involving a lot of local artists from the region. So if you want to help to raise some money for tornado relief in Kentucky, you can do that. But tonight we're here from Ethereal with Watkins, and it's going to be Matty Gones playing after this, James Reed, Brett Horton, Jordan King, and then Watkins is going to play a little bit more music for us. But I appreciate everybody that's here so far. There's some very familiar faces. There's some faces that I don't know so well that I hope to get to know. But Brett and Jordan I've worked with them a lot so far, and that's, for me, that's what this is all about, is building those communities of people that are like-minded and do want to help. And like you said, it doesn't matter, because I mean, we have a pretty different, we have an eclectic sound tonight, I guess. You know, everybody is kind of bringing their own thing, but the mission is the same, and that's how we can make those communities happen. Because when we're like, oh, you need to be this or that, like, or you can't hang out with us, and it's just like, that's just not how I feel, and I can tell that's how you are kind of too.
Well, and that's why you can just tell as soon as some of these artists are going to play. I mean, I've played with some of these people for years now, and just being around Lexington and even going down to the so-called music city of Nashville, it's like, as soon as I was down in Nashville, I was like ready to come back to Lexington. I was ready to come back and see my homies, because I was like, this ain't passion down here in Nashville. I was like, my good old buddies up in Lexington playing till 2 in the morning, that's when I've had some of my best nights. And that's why going from playing the packed shows out late at night to maybe playing some cool venues and stuff, like, there's definitely a time and a place for that. But I want to take this year, and especially after COVID and just with all the craziness going on, I want to use my platform and just my position as an artist to educate and to really just give back. At this point, I don't want anything from it. I want just people to hear the message and to feel like they were a part of something when they come to the show.
You gave me a sticker earlier, and it's got some pretty thought-provoking people, as we were talking about earlier. It has Alan Watts, and it has Terrence McKenna, and Carl Sagan, and what's the Wilson guy's name again?
Robert Anton Wilson.
Robert Anton Wilson. And it's just like, those dudes are people that are like constantly like provoking, like, are we aware of what's going on in the moment, or like, what's the reason that this is potentially happening, or how do we connect these to make like a better consciousness, because it's all kind of connected in some capacity. And so you can definitely tell that influences your music. So as you've written your music, I was trying to kind of touch on it a little bit earlier. Like, would you say that you have been more influenced by like the readings you've done, or is it just from life experiences? Because you have a huge library. It's like, you said, would you say it was like a fourth of it?
Probably less than that.
So like, I mean, if you're, based off the conversations we've had, like, I can tell that you actually are reading those books. So.
Well, and for me, I think what you're touching on is it definitely plays a huge role in my life. And I think one philosophy that's stuck with me over the years is I've realized that through these different experiences, whether it's having just a very emotional night with a friend, having a breakup with a girlfriend, hanging out playing music with your best Kentucky friends, or even, I mean, people can find it in drugs. People tend to look for answers in psychedelics, but one thing that stuck with me after all of these experiences over the years, it's like no matter what doors I've opened, no matter what consciousness I've been able to tap into, it's all within me. And so I know I'm able to create that. I know that as a being, we're all powerful enough to take charge in our own lives, and whether it's taking charge of your own happiness or finally making that first artistic piece you've been wanting to, it's really just telling yourself, like, I'm capable of doing it. And that's the same MO I'm trying to create with these events, is letting people know, hey, you're an artist too, you can be up here. It's just, everything takes time. It's devoting yourself to something and being intentional. And with this new year, I just promised myself, lose all expectations, throw expectations out the door, no judgment walking out. And that's the whole MO with my last record, Unbiased Eyes, is when I wake up in the morning and I choose to walk outside, I want no judgment. I want complete acceptance. I want to look at the world through unbiased eyes, like I'm a kid again, you know? I want to feel like I'm seeing everything for the first time every time. And it's like when you read all these books about enlightenment, when you get yourself involved with all of these consciousness expanding topics, you can dive deep into this and find great peace and great knowledge from it all, but you have to be careful not to gain more expectations and add on, well, now I know how beautiful the world can be all the time. Now I've stepped into that next layer, you know, now I've tapped into something that maybe not everybody's seen before, or wow, that last mushroom trip really made me think I was Jesus or something, you know? And it's like, you know, that energy is always up here. And it's finding ways, if it's a guitar or if it's having conversations like these, because I leave conversations like this and feel more on one than anything, you know? It's no drugs, it's no weird experiments, this is life, you know? And if you can tap into what is right in front of you, that's when you're gonna see that beauty has always been like, hey, I'm right here, it's the world knocking, are you ready to wake up today? And so my whole goal with the music and these type of events is to kind of shake people out of that funk. I'm here to wake everyone up, I guess.
Hey man, it takes a collective to make that happen, and I think that that's happening in the region for sure. Whether it's the music scene or the craft beer scene or the art scene, there's a million festivals going on in Eastern Kentucky like that's coming up this year that are going to be so much fun, and in Kentucky. But just it's really cool to see that finally starting to pop up in Eastern Kentucky, because it's such a rich area.
Yes. That
it's crazy that it hasn't already been there. So
well, and I think too, it's not only that maybe it hasn't been there before, it's that more people are finally tuning into this stuff. I think COVID finally made people self-reflect a little bit more than they're used to. People started to realize, oh, maybe I do need to be spending more time at home. Maybe I do need to be the one raising my kids. Maybe I shouldn't be out all day on the phone or just caught up in the circle of life. You know, I want everybody, like I said earlier, to take charge again, and that's what you have to decide almost every day. And I think now it's not, oh, Eastern Kentucky's finally popping off, Western Kentucky's finally popping off. It's people are finally ready to listen. And now that people are vulnerable to this energy, that's where I come in and I'm like, stay there, like we're here, let's now ride this out.
And literally that's why I was immediately drawn to you so much, and was just like, all right, this dude's cool shit. Like I gotta get to know him and pick his brain and see why he writes the music the way he does, and just the people you were involved with too were people I cared about a lot. So I was like, you know, that takes a vulnerability away from it too. You know, it's like I'm more willing to reach out to that guy because I know that he knows some people that I know that I really like. I mean, Jordan's here now, he's playing tonight. Chris Bentley is like one of my best friends and one of my biggest mentors for doing everything that I do. And just so when you're connected to working with those people, I'm like, all right, this guy's probably pretty cool. But then I meet you and I'm like, all right, like this is definitely true. So we'll let you play one more song, then we'll come back and talk a little bit to kind of tie things up. But
yeah, sounds good, man. This I'm feeling pretty good now. I want to do a new one for you guys, if that's all right. This one will probably be recorded this year, hopefully, but it's one of my new favorite ones, so I wanted to give it a chance. say time will take care of it. You say that you want me waiting around. You say that time will take care of it. You say time heals everything. Time heals. Come tomorrow, I won't feel anything, but I don't feel anything. Time heals everything. Oh, so they say.
Good work, my friend. So is that on? You said it's a new song. So is that going to be on an upcoming project? Or
That'll be
single?
on, yeah, I've got songs for a third record, so we'll see what happens in the next year or so. But really just taking this year to promote the hell out of that second record that came out last November. Just really been trying to hit it hard on some of those songs, and we're seeing some good traction now. So really just gonna take these few events and what's coming up this summer to try to lock that in and hopefully give us enough awareness and enough support to put out the next project.
So you're on album number 3, working on it. Your first 2 albums. We have some people in here that are definitely musicians and are writing songs, but some people aren't. So walk us a little bit through what your songwriting process is and like what influences you. When we were talking earlier, just saying how it's just you don't like just sit down and write. So tell us a little bit about how your process goes.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm a guitarist at heart. Like that, I found acoustic guitar, like I said, at a super young age, and I just thought this was it. This was it for me. This was what I was even saying earlier. Like that was my way to tap in to the energy. And like being a kid in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee. I mean, yeah, you play sports, you're outside all the time, but it's like when you're at home and you're like, well, I'm just this little Catholic raised kid with nothing to do, twiddling my thumbs. I'm like, I need something that will give me that release, give me that outbreak into this new thought, and just needed something to use as an expression, you know? So where I usually start my songwriting is I'll come up with a little melody, like I've been playing that little... I've been doing that for probably 3 years now. And finally last year I was at a show and I was like, a lot of my stuff comes from, a lot of my lyrics and a lot of the song structure comes from me just kind of playing around with the songs for a while. Starts on guitar. If I find a melody I like that, I'll be like, oh, get my phone out, voice memo that real quick. And if it's something I really like, I'll find myself just repeating it, playing it over and over. Like there's riffs that I still play to this day from like high school and being a child that I'm like, maybe it'll be a song one of these days. But yeah, no, so I start there and then I'll play around with it and then I'll just kind of freestyle some stuff. After a while I've got, you know, kind of a melody, kind of like a verse, chorus structure. And I let the guitar and the melody that I come up with acoustically really set the stage for not only emotionally, but lyrically what I'm going to be talking about in the song. So I kind of say, what does this song make me feel like? Like with Sad Happy, I was like... And I'm like, oh shit, like this is a jumper right here, but I want to just smack people with the truth on that one. So I'm like, I'm going to use this as the title track, then I'll work my way around what I want to put into that. And like I said, like that last song, a lot of it really comes from me just spitballing some lyrics every once in a while. And then when I start shaping the true structure of the song, I'll be like, okay, that's a line I'm gonna keep, that's a line I'm gonna keep. And then maybe a year and a half goes by, I'll play it at some shows. Like that new one that I just played, it probably won't sound like that or go like that when we end up recording it. But this is me getting to work it out, play it to a crowd that's willing to listen, and just see how it goes. So for me, if you're a guitar player, I would sit, play guitar, see what really feels right for you. And what happened with me is I just started playing a certain way. I did a lot of palm muting growing up and just some weird hammer on stuff that I'm I'm like, I don't see a lot of people out, especially in Kentucky, playing like that. A lot of people are playing just cowboy chords and stuff, and I'm like, I want to be just palmy and playing around, and I really found my style on acoustic guitar. And so at the end of the day, I tell people I don't even look at myself really as a singer. I look at myself as like acoustic guitar, songwriter, and then what comes out of my mouth is really just what the world had to say from me. And I feel like truly I've just been used as a conduit to express these universal truths, you know, just throughout my experiences over the years. A lot of it, the songs like you were asking earlier, a lot of it does come from me, just experiences over the years, but I just kind of realized through a lot of the books I found that you were talking about is like, oh, there's other people out there that are having these thoughts, you know, there's other people out there who just aren't accepting what they've been told their whole life. It's like, there's people like you and me who start to question, start to look around and finally say, you know what, there's more to this world than just believing everything I'm told. And it's hard, but it's like, I was that kid back in high school who was like, let's sit down and have these hard conversations. Let's have a midlife crisis before you waste your midlife. You know, let's get it out of the way now and have these existential moments where you ask yourself to face all these tough questions, because these are things you're gonna have to accept for the rest of your life.
So where can everybody find you online and the stuff that you're doing? Like where's the best place to find Watkins music?
Next year, be looking for me a lot around here and just around this tri-state kind of area. I'll be doing a lot of event coordinating, hosting events like this. You can find all that information at the band Watkins. We've got tons of free stickers and stuff that we're always handing out, so please don't leave empty-handed. We have a ton of free stuff to take home. We've got new shirts that are coming out online here soon. You can also, if you guys want to purchase my first or second record on a CD, I've got those. I literally left them at the house, but if you give me your address and just want to pay now, I can literally get that to you in your mailbox this week. But as for what's going on with me, at the band Watkins is really where I'm going to be posting. We're about to make a big move to North Carolina, but really just want to connect and meet and hang out with as many of my friends and people from Lexington before I head out. And I'll be around for about 2 more weeks, so really just looking to continue these type of situations for real.
So one last question, and we'll conclude this podcast and allow Miss Maddie Gomes to come tear the stage up. But so what I always like to close out with on the podcast is asking essentially like, what's the overall impact that you want to make with this thing that you're doing? And just fill us in. What's the impact that Watkins is wanting to make?
So my whole main mission is to provide awareness to community-based organizations. I would like to inform everybody involved who has a listening ear, who would like to be a part of something, to realize that they are an artist. Everyone has creative powers deep down inside of them, and they have the capability to access these next levels of consciousness and just experiences in general. I think when you choose to take the path of growing your self-awareness, you will only be tapped into new things that the world will give to you. It's like leaving little tricks and hints along the way, and when you finally turn your radio frequency into the right thing, you'll finally start catching all the stations, you know? It's like when you finally start tapping in, the world is, like I said earlier, it's like, we've been waiting for you, you know? So my whole mission at the end of the day is to provide a platform for artists to speak their mind and to share the experiences and knowledge that's helping them grow and to be happy as a human, and to just give back to the community, whether that's here in Kentucky or wherever you're traveling.
Cool, man. Well, we have a pretty loaded week coming up for What the Shuck. We're doing a show at Bluegrass Barrel House on Wednesday. That's going to be with Lance Rogers. Then we have a show Thursday at Blue Stallion, and that's going to be with Daniel Kane. And then we have a show the following week with James Reed, who's going to be playing some music for us tonight on April 13th at Blue Stallion as well. We're having a big old 420 special also on at Blue Stallion, and Mr. Jordan King and Brett Horton, who are also going to be playing tonight, will be doing a similar setup to this as far as like the conversation, letting them play a little bit. And then the following, or the last Wednesday of the month, Evan of Trippin' Roots and I are gonna, I'm not sure if Zach's gonna play, but we're gonna be doing a show at Blue Stallion on the 27th. So got some cool stuff coming up. I turned 30 this week, so that midlife crisis thing that he was talking about, I didn't want to get to that point. I kind of had a brain injury, and my doctor's like, "You're gonna die in 10 years." I was like, "Oh shit, I should probably get my life together." So, yeah. So that I had that early midlife crisis, and it's really over the past 5 years it's pretty crazy. If you probably saw me 5 years before that, you'd be like, "That guy's a fucking loser." But I hope I'm not a loser anymore. I've worked pretty hard to build communities and bring these people together like you, and I think that if we're able to do something like this, I think I've made a pretty big turnaround.
Oh yeah, and I think you can go ahead and pat yourself on the back. I mean, you've done an amazing job with What the Shuck podcast and just providing so much relief to all the tornado victims. And I mean, this man right here, Austin Shuck, he is the real deal. So definitely tune into his stuff as well. Give them your username. Make sure everybody follows up, not only with the music, but with what he's doing with his podcast and with his nonprofit. He's making events like this happen for not only musicians like me, but he's also giving people a lot of good relief money, and he's really helping out families that have gone through some hard times. Wanted to thank What the Shuck, and again, thanks Ethereal for having us, and please stick around for the musicians coming afterwards.
Yeah, woo, live the dream.